first, before I get into all of that, disclaimer number one, these books, this author, the show and the books, but the books way more than the show, and we'll get into it, they rely heavily on religions because this whole thing is grave robbing. They go into the graves and stuff, and like it gets very heavy into the religion, especially when you're reading the books. I have no idea what the author's religious beliefs are in reality, but getting into the books, like they get big heavy on what the religious beliefs were of the people that were creating these tombs and all that stuff. And I'm telling you, it's really creepy and really messed up. I mean, really, really creepy and really, really messed up. So, and also, the books are way more violent and way more creepy than the shows are. The TV shows and movies, most of them, I think, if off the top of my head, I think most of them I'd rate about 16 plus, mainly because of the religion beliefs and the violence and stuff like that. Probably 16 plus is at least the average, and I think is most of them that I'd rate about 16 plus. The books, however, most of the books, the Chinese ones, because there is a set of English translated ones, officially English translated ones, those ones I think would be 16 plus as well for the most part. Except watch out for the amount of swearing, because oh my word, do they ever swear a lot in those. The original Chinese stuff, like what you find online for free, and the printed Chinese versions and stuff like that, I'd say most of them are 18 plus. Some of it is 16 plus, some of the side stories and whatever, but a lot of the main stuff I would actually rate as 18 plus, because it gets really, really creepy and really violent and really messed up sometimes. So, that's the number one disclaimer that I wanted to mention. And the number two disclaimer that I have to mention, no shipping. I do not ship any of these characters. If you want to go off in your own little world and ship them, that's whatever, that's your business. Do not come into my comments and say anything about these two are my ship. People love to ship Wuxie and Qiling. People love to ship Black Glasses and Xiaohua. As far as I'm concerned, all of the characters in these books are amazing brotherly duos. They are like epic friends and brotherly duos and trios. And that's all I see it as. And that's all I'm interested in seeing it as. I am not interested in shipping. Do not leave comments about which characters you ship the most. And don't bother asking me which ones I ship the most, because I don't ship any of them. They're brothers, okay? I absolutely hate the word bromance. If you're brothers, there's no romance involved. Siblings, there's no romance involved. That word bromance is disgusting. So, don't go there in my comments, because I'm not interested, and I will delete your comment if you leave anything, because that's what you want to do in your world. But don't do it here in mine, okay? Not interested. Okay, so to be honest, I don't even know why I'm this excited about it. It's probably because it's so huge. You feel like you've literally entered another world, and like this is not the only one that's done that. If you get a book series and or a TV series, like especially if you cross over into the TV series, like I could name even just two and everybody would three, and everybody would like, yeah. When you get a long enough series, like the books, never mind when you get the shows, never mind when you have both, it becomes this massive, massive world. And I don't think I'm the only one that gets really excited about getting drawn into it. You get all these details and you know all these things, and if you're a fan, you know, and if you aren't, you don't, and like you like get excited about sharing about it, and you want other people to get in the excitement too. Took me forever to convince my sister to watch it. She was holding off for multiple different reasons. One, because she hadn't seen as many Chinese shows yet, so she was still uncomfortable with listening to the language. And two, because she has so many other things that she wants to see and read, and etc. She still hasn't read any of this. And did I say 2 and 3? Because I was like talking about them so much, etc., etc., and she doesn't like trying to watch something and form her own opinion while I'm still so excited that I can't shut up about mine. And there might be more reasons too, but it took me a year at least to convince her to watch it with me, and then she finally did. And then like I talk about doing this and she's like, I would love to help you with that. And I'm like, the only problem is you haven't read the books, you can't help me with part of what one of the biggest things I want to do with it. And also recently she's like, I want to watch them all again. I'm like, me too. She's like, but it was such a huge undertaking the first time through. Oh, the second time through. So what I'm talking about is the Grave Robber Chronicles. That's the name of the book series. Although even there it gets complicated. The author's name, I've actually seen 3 different names. The one that I know best is Xulei, or Leju, Xulei. That's what's printed on the English translation, and I've seen it in all over the place online. If you go on my drama list, you'll find him under the name Kennedy Zhu. He's under Leju or Kennedy Zhu on there. Because he is an author, and now he's acted minor characters in his own shows, and he's also a producer, and he's also a screenwriter, so like he's on my drama list. The other name that I've heard for him, Nanpai Sanshu. That's all like all the names that I know of that refer to the same person. That is the one that originally started this whole mess. The other thing, one of the main reasons why this whole huge world is so complicated to talk about, and my goal in this video is to try to chronologically straighten some of this out so you'll understand what's going on here. One of the main reasons why that's so hard to do, don't even mention TV shows yet, even just the original writing, okay? This author, he releases everything he writes free online as he's writing it. So he's well known among his fans for having a ton of plot holes, like big plot holes, and a ton of inconsistencies. And I'm not even getting to the shows yet because this makes all of it even worse. For more than one reason, I'll get there. Plot holes and inconsistencies, like, my word. And then because he like writes this stuff online, like I remember him even writing a note in the middle of Sound of Providence, something about like he drank too much one night and decided to write and post anyway, and then looked back at it later and went, this is going way off where I meant to go. So he suddenly like, whoop, and you're like, okay. He's like, it'll get fixed later, don't worry. And we're like, okay. So stuff like that happens because he's releasing it as he's writing it. And then apparently when he actually translates it, when he publishes it in book form, he like tweaks things and edited things and makes it more succinct and puts it in a book. But I don't know, because I don't know Chinese. So yes, I own, because I wanted to be able to support the author, so I own the English translations of the books, and I own the original series, and I'll have pictures of what I own there. And not in the picture is this one. This actually belongs in the set. It came with the set when I bought it. And yes, that was an expensive set. It has a lot of, I mean, it's mostly just a notebook, but it has like epic pictures in it. Like the one on my wall. Like scattered throughout it. And I can't remember if I've shown this book on other videos put online before or not. So I own all of that in my hopes to support the author. This whole series is apparently extremely popular in China, so like, you know, it's not like he needs my money, but you know what? I'm an author. He's the one that wrote this stuff. He deserves to get paid for it. Even if he's making like millions for it, he still deserves to get paid for it. He's put in a lot of hard work. It's taken him well over 10 years to write everything that he's written. He's been doing this for well over 10 years now. So all of that keeping in mind, and then, like I say, I don't know exactly why he decided to translate them into English, whose idea that was. I didn't know any difference when I first, like I say, I'll get into more details as I go. But, like, I didn't know when I first read them, like, then I found out later that apparently the English translations, what's that called? Abridged. That's the word. Apparently they're pretty much extremely abridged. So yeah, like I say, the author publishes everything online for free for people to go and read, and then he edits it and actually publishes it into book format. That is how this goes. So keep that in mind right from the very start. So those are things that I wanted to say before I got much deeper. And then from there, I'll say, wait, there's different actors? Here's one very, very important thing to know right off the bat if you're planning on getting into the Lost Tomb. And yes, the books are the Grave Robber Chronicles and Restart. The shows are Lost Tomb and Reunion. Everything falls under. You'll see. Where was I? This is turning out to be a lot more scattered than I thought. I didn't write a script. I just wrote myself a couple notes and lists, and here you go. It's way messier than I expected. Have I still got anybody's attention right now? All of them, they have different actors. Like, almost all of the characters are played by a different actor in basically every single series that has ever come out. I don't know who decided that that was going to be a thing. I don't know why they decided that was going to be a thing. On one hand, I absolutely hate it because you find that one or two actors that really epically portrays the character and then they're gone. And you're like, you were not around long enough. And instead I have to deal with all these fakes. But on the other hand, it's actually kind of fascinating and interesting. And I have been shocked by how many... especially one of my favorite characters, Zhang Qiling. The more I love a character, the more I'm going to be extremely picky about, who can play them well. And all but one of the actors who's played him has shocked me in how well they've done. The others have actually failed more than him. And, even the one actor that I saw a picture of and I saw a tiny little clip and went, nope. I'm never watching this one because absolutely not. This is not them. They're doing a horrible job. There's no way that they'll succeed. It won't. And he turned out to kind of be one of my favorites. So, it's actually a very, very, very fascinating idea to completely, or almost completely, change up the crew for every series. So, chronologically... one that I am super excited about. Yes, please, 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 please. The South Bureau? Please, please. If that's about who I'm pretty sure it's about, given the name, a 36-episode drama that's to be announced. So I have no idea when it's coming out. But if it's about Han, that character is flippin' freaky, okay? He's disturbing and freaky, but at the same time, for some reason, I love him. Anyway, you saw the disclaimer at the beginning of this. The South Bureau, if he really does, I don't know at all whether an actor would actually be able to play that character properly or not. And I'm almost hoping they can't play him properly, because he's a bit freaky. One of my favorite stories was Haiyan with Qiling. It was a side story, I believe it's called Fantasy. It was one of my favorite stories because it was Haiyan and Qiling together. Oh, I wanted more! The South Bureau, it would definitely come first or somewhere within this chronological order because Haiyan was way back there during the same time period-ish of the Mystic Nine. And because this author is really bad at properly telling you exact timelines and years and whatnot, I don't know exactly how much of the book South Sea Archives. We'll get to the books. As far as I understand it, those were happening about the same time as Mystic Nine because Haiyan, and I forget her name. Haiyan and the Zhang lady that he's with, it's kind of basically his mother, but let's not go there at the moment. Anyway, I don't remember her name. And she just popped back into existence. I'm like, well, thank you all for saying she's still alive. But anyway, I'm not supposed to be talking about the books yet. I'm not even supposed to be talking about this yet because it's not out yet. But that's how excited I am because they flip and tease about it at the end of one of the movies. I'm like, would you stop teasing? There are 2 movies. They mention Haiyan. I'm like, would you stop teasing about him and bring him into the shows? And it looks like maybe he finally will if the South Bureau is gonna come back. Then that's gotta be about Hyan. Chronological wise, time wise, as far as I can see, as far as I can understand it after watching the shows and what's happening to the characters during the shows, as far as I can understand it, chronologically wise, everything I've looked up, even when I say chronological wise, every website that I've found, they've put these movies in chronological released wise maybe, but they never seem to put the movies in time chronological, time wise, as in from birth to 1-year-old to 2-year-old to 3-year-old. Where did it fit in that kind of timeline? Nobody seems to put it up. So here you go. The correct order, as far as I can understand it, of actual time wise. The first thing would be 4 Belongs to Abel Muscus, and I don't know if I'm saying that right. That is a movie about Chen Pi, and that is a movie about him way before he became part of the Mystic Nine. So as far as I can understand it, that's the first movie you'd watch, the first anything you'd watch and see. We'll get to why you shouldn't watch some of these in chronological order, but that is, as far as I can tell, the first chronological one. The next one that I can tell would be chronological would be the movie Jingshan Hai Tang. That one is about Jishan coming to Changsha and meeting the Mystic Nine and becoming, like, he's the one that unites them. So that one would be next. And then you would have Tiger Plum Blossom, the movie Tiger Plum Blossom, which is about Jie. I can't remember his first name right now. But the Jie Mystic Nine and Rishan. Rishan came with Jishan. Like I say, loopholes and inconsistencies and like all kinds of stuff. The Changshan Hai Tang, how it brought Jishan and Rishan to Changsha, is not the same as how they got there in Mystic Nine. We'll get to more of this in a minute. I'm trying to tell you chronological first, and then we'll go into detail. The next one in timeline, as far as I can tell, is Phantom Bifang Buckle. Because it's about Huo and it's about how she became the head of her family. In the Mystic Nine, there's 9 families or 9 clans, and there's one of them that's a matriarchy rather than a patriarchy. It's the Huo family is a matriarchy. So as far as I can tell, those are the things that you would have to start with. 4 Belongs to Abelmiscus, then Qingshan Hai Tang, then Tiger Plum Blossoms, then Phantom of Bifang Buckle. Then you'd watch the actual show Mystic Nine. Then you'd watch the movie that focuses on Arye, which is called Flowers Bloom in February. Because, and the reason I'm telling you to watch that after Mystic Nine chronologically, because for sure, in that one, it's after the war has already started. The war was starting at the end of Mystic Nine. So chronologically, even though this is like the side story set, this one, the ones that focus on one of the Mystic Nine family members, the Jishan movie came out way later. So I don't know if people count it as part of this now, but like there's the 4 of them that are considered a set. But I'm telling you, that one's got to be watched after Mystic Nine because, chronologically, because it comes after it. And then apparently there's a Mystic Nine 2 in the works, and I don't know what Mystic Nine 2 is about. If you go to the books, there is a Mystic Nine 1 and a Mystic Nine 2, so I don't know if Mystic Nine 2 follows what the second book was doing, or if it's something completely different. There's no information on it on my drama list yet, so I don't know what it's about. But apparently there's a Mystic Nine 2, so it would probably fit in there. Guessing that it would fit in after the Flowers Bloom in February. And then it gets super easy from here, what order you're going to watch stuff chronologically. You go and watch Lost Tomb 1, then Lost Tomb 2, then Lost Tomb Explore with the Note, and then Ultimate Note, Lost Tomb Ultimate Note, and then you'd watch Tibetan Sea Flower, which has not been released yet. So unless you're watching this after it's already been released, and then you'd watch Sansi or Tomb of the Sea, and then you'd watch the movie Escape from the Monstrous Snake. That movie, Black Glasses is the main character, and that one has got nothing to do with the rest of it. It's just a spin-off, but that's about where it would fit, is somewhere right in there. And then you'd watch Reunion, Sound of Providence 1, and then Sound of Providence 2. And then you have the movie Reunion, Mystery of the Abyss, which focuses on Xiaohou and Black Glasses. And you'd have Echo of Moonfall, and I don't know which one of those comes first. It doesn't really matter too much. They probably kind of overlap themselves somewhere. I don't know. But Echo of Moonfall, I call it, some of these I'm calling them movie, but some of these ones are like, they call them special. So I don't know what the difference between a special and a movie is. Probably where it's released or whatever. So it doesn't really matter either way. Echo of Moonfall is like a mini drama series. It's like 10-minute episodes. Put it all together into one thing and you've got a movie. It focuses on Lusong and Jielu. Jielu is a character from Sound of Providence. Poof! Vanished from the show. Literally, poof! Vanished from the scene. I have never seen a character go poof the way Jielu did. Jielu. Not Jaloon. Jiale. And the way they say it is Jielu, if I remember correctly. He's in it. And him and Lusong are the main characters, and me and my sister were trying to figure out where it would fit, and it's kind of it doesn't fit, but at the same time, if it fits chronologically anywhere, it has to be after Sound of Providence, even though Jielu should have a scar here, if it's after Reunion, and he doesn't. But it cannot possibly be before Reunion, because these two characters don't know each other before Reunion, and they would not be working for Wujie before Reunion, and it can't be in the middle of Reunion, because those two characters don't vanish from the show for any extended period of time, which could explain them doing their story in Echo of Moonfall. So chronologically, we'll watch it after Reunion. It's most likely after Reunion, and it fits perfectly there, aside from the fact that he doesn't have a scar when he should have a scar. And then there's 3 movies that I have not been able to find and can't watch. I'm assuming all of them come after Sound of Providence. Most likely they all come after Sound of Providence, given the characters that are in them and how they're interacting from the sounds of it, but there's Pingyao Wangxi with Lusong and Wang Mang, and there's Huamei just with Lusong, and there's Rangu with Huo Dafu and Kanjian. Those 3 movies, I still can't find them and watch them, so I haven't seen them yet. They are released, they're out there somewhere. I think one of them I found without subtitles, but I haven't been able to watch them yet. Boo! So, chronological-wise, that is how you should be watching it. If you want to know the actual chronological order, what will make sense chronologically, what's actually been released so you can watch it. 4 belongs to Avomiscus, Qingshan Hai Tang, Tiger Blum Blossom, Phantom of Bifong Buckle, Mystic 9, Flowers Bloom in February, Lost Tomb 1, Lost Tomb 2, Lost Tomb Explorer with the Note, Ultimate Note, Tibetan Sea Flower hasn't been released yet, Sand Sea, Escape from the Monster Snake, Reunion Sound of Providence 1, Reunion Sound of Providence 2, then Reunion Mystery of the Abyss, or Echo of Moonfall. Either one of those in whatever order, because they've got nothing to do with each other. And then I don't know about the other 3 where they fit, but I'm assuming they're after. So, that's chronologically how you should be watching it. Now, the order that I would suggest you might want to watch it in, it's extremely similar, but with a couple of adjustments. You probably want to watch Mystic 9 before watching any of the movies. Whether you want to watch the movies first and get introduced to these characters, and which is fine. If you don't know the characters, you have to be introduced to them somehow. But the problem is the movies assume you know something about the world and how the world of Grave Robber Chronicles functions, whereas the show introduces you to that as well. So whichever way you want to watch those in. And then, for sure, like, there's 2 different pictures here. You've got Mystic 9 and all those movies from this generation, Wujie's grandfather's generation. Wujie's grandfather was one of the Mystic 9. You barely see him in the Mystic 9 show, and there is no movie focusing on him. Because Wujie, he comes from the Wu family, and there is no Wu family movie focus. Yet, at least. And he's barely in the Mystic 9 show, and he was aged up to, from what I gather, he was younger than that in the books. But anyway! So, that's the world of Mystic 9 in those movies, chronologically, and which order you might want to watch them in and why. And then you move over to the other world, the world of these guys. Definitely, you start off with Lost Tomb 1 and Lost Tomb 2. The reason you most likely do not, I would very strongly advise, do not watch Explore with the Note next, because it does come there chronologically next, and you will be missing stuff if you don't watch it here, but you'll be missing stuff anyway. And I'll tell you why all of this is confusing. I'll get more into that probably in the next video. Explore with the Note reveals some secrets So, like, it's major, massive spoilers for something that is also revealed in Ultimate Note. And in Ultimate Note, they stayed much closer to the original way that it was revealed. And it's, like, if you've already seen it and Explore with the Note, you're going to be like, meh, I already knew this in Ultimate Note. But if you leave it until Ultimate Note, you're like, they revealed it better in Ultimate Note. It was way better reveal in Ultimate Note. And Explore with the Note itself started out very interesting, and then it went super downhill, super fast. I'm not trying to insult anybody, but it seriously went off the rails. Pretty much every character was taken completely out of character. The story itself was making less and less sense. It was getting really wonky. And at the end of Explore with the Note, they kill a character that is alive and well in Ultimate. So if you go from Explore with the Note to Ultimate, you're like, I thought he was dead. How did he come? Because Explore with the Note killed him when he didn't die. They really went off the rails. They seriously messed up. So if you want this story to make any sense whatsoever, and it's going to be confusing regardless of what you do, and we'll get into why, don't watch Explore with the Note here. If you are curious and want to watch it later on, because some of the actors did a good job, technically, really, the guy that plays Wujier in Explore with the Note, I think he did a really good job of playing Wujier. I actually would have liked to see him in a properly done story as Wujier, because I think he did a really good job of playing Wujier. And the guy that plays Fatty is the same actor that plays him in Lost Tomb 2. And I really liked that Fatty. So that's a real disappointment that Explore with the Note. And Zhao Hua, the actor that plays Zhao Hua in Lost Tomb, plays Zhao Hua in Explore with the Note. And I loved that Zhao Hua in Lost Tomb 2. I ended up very much not liking him in Explore with the Note. I have to say here, sorry, I'm trying really hard not to insult anybody. The actor that played Zhang Qiling in Explore with the Note, absolutely not. I haven't seen him act in anything else. Maybe he's an epic actor and everything else. I'm sorry. He cannot play Qiling. He never should have played Qiling. He was the wrong person to play Qiling. Out of pretty much every other Qiling, I absolutely loved him for one or another reason. That guy, I don't want to use the word hate because this is not supposed to be personal. I'm not trying to personally attack the actor. Please understand, I'm not trying to personally attack him. But he did a terrible job playing Qiling. That is the worst Qiling. That is the only fake Qiling. That is not a real Qiling. That was a badly done. The entirety of Explore with the Note went downhill so fast. So I'm strongly advising you, if you've never watched these shows before, don't watch that one here. Wait until you've gone through the entire thing. This is what I told my sister. I'm like, don't do it. I'll just kind of like explain what happened in between time. There's not a whole ton you're really missing. And there's multiple other reasons too why it's going to be confusing no matter how you do it. So just save yourself the spoiler. Save yourself the massive confusion of a character coming back to life. Save yourself from a terribly done Qiling. And a whole ton of characters just going completely out of character. And just save yourself and don't watch it here. If you're curious and you want to watch it later on, go ahead and watch it after you watch other stuff. But don't watch it here. Even if you want to watch it after Ultimate Note, watch Ultimate Note before you watch Explore with the Note. That is my advice. So yeah, my advice would be to go Lost Tomb 1, Lost Tomb 2, and then skip to Ultimate Note. And then if Tibetan Sea Flower, if it's been released yet when you watch this video, watch that one yet. But it hasn't been released yet, so I can't tell you. And then after Ultimate Note, after Tibetan Sea Flower, then you watch Sandsea. Then after you watch Sandsea, you can watch Escape with the Monstrous Snake, and then watch Sound of Providence 1 and Sound of Providence 2. So, and then Mystery of the Abyss and Echo of Moonfall. So yeah, most of it chronologically and the way I advise watching it is basically the same. The only thing is, like I say, in the Mystic 9 world, for those different reasons, which one you might want to watch first, the actual show or the movies. And then when it comes to the Lost Tomb and Reunion part of it, pretty much watch in chronological order. My only advice is to not watch Explore with the Note until later. So, there you go with that. That's the confusion, unconfused. And then, let's go back and talk about the books for a minute. And then we'll talk about why you're going to be lost no matter what you do while you're watching the shows. Even though I still advise that you go watch the shows, you're going to be lost no matter what you do, and I'll explain why. The books, as much in chronological order as I can figure. See, the author writes like full-on books, and he writes short stories, and he writes super short stories. He writes some that are like basically 1 or 2 chapters long, and they're all completely disconnected. And most of those he wrote during the time either when he officially wasn't writing or kind of when he restarted it all again. And there's a whole ton of them that fit in one of the massive gaps. Even in the books, there's a massive, there's a gap, and he's basically filling it all with a bunch of short stories. That's why this gets confusing. And, like I say, he's really bad. I don't think the author, as massive as his world is, I don't think he actually has a timeline. So I think he gets confused sometimes. And then he throws these stories out there and doesn't tell you where they fit. And if you don't care about chronological order, that is all you need to know, is which main story you have to have read before any of this is going to make sense with the short stuff. To me, for one thing, I like things to flow as much as possible. I don't want a bunch of just total random stuff. And for another thing, I like knowing what came first. At some point, I really want to know what the chronological order is, so it really bugs me when I don't have an official chronological order. Whatever. But the main stories, and the main extras, the longer, more significant extras, and the actual novels, the chronological order, and for the most part, I don't think anybody would argue with me. There's a couple of things they might kind of but for most of this is how anybody would see it. The Grave Robber Chronicles and stuff, the first thing you'd have to watch would be, it's called Spring Killing. That is a Chen P extra. That is basically where the movie 4 belongs to Albamuscus. That's basically where it came from, is the story Spring Killing. I originally had no interest in reading it. I wasn't going to reading it. I was not going to do it. And then I watched the movie and I decided, fine, I'll read the story because I've read basically everything else and it feels weird to have one thing that I didn't. So I read it and I regretted it. I liked the movie better. You think Chen P is messed up in the movie, and oh my gosh, is he ever messed up in the movie? It's even worse in the book. Like I said in the disclaimers, most of the books are 18 plus, okay? They are extremely violent, extremely creepy, extremely messed up in places. They get messed up sometimes. For most of these things, they're 18 plus. Some of it is 16 plus, but untangling which is which, I don't have clear enough memory. Just be aware that a lot of it is between 16 and 18, and most of it leans toward 18 plus. So, Spring Killing is definitely 18 plus. It's messed up. Chen P's messed up. I don't like that character. He is a murderer. I don't like him. But that one definitely is his story before he joins the Mystic Nine, so chronologically that one would be first. Then comes the Mystic Nine 1, then comes Mystic Nine 2, what happened in Jiangxi. Just for reference, if you're wondering, should you jump into any of this or not? Just so you know, Mystic 9, the book, is unfinished. Mystic 9, What Happened in Jiangxi, is unfinished. Apparently, the author himself said that the show Mystic 9, he was thinking of going in that direction. What happened in the show, everything that was happening there, he was thinking of going in that direction, so they basically got input from him in order to make the show. But I am telling you, at least, as far as the Mystic 9 book got versus show, I liked the book better. For one thing, the Zhang family, in basically all of the shows, I'm just going to give you a heads up right now, they basically dropped the ball entirely on the Zhang family. You get very small snippets of what the Zhang family is really like in the shows. Very brief snippets about the strongest showing of what the Zhang family is really like according to the books. I'm not making this up. Read the books. They are epic. Read Mystic 9-1 and then watch the show and you're like, what? There's so many things about the Mystic 9 family that the show barely brings up, or they barely use, or they barely or they don't bring up at all. I'm pretty sure the show itself, there's a couple of things about the Zhang family that it does not bring up at all. And I'm like, because you're trying to make it family friendly or what? Like, you just don't mention this hugely significant thing about the Zhang family. And Jishan's family is a little different than Qiling's family. This is going into a whole lot of massive details there. But anyway, the strongest Zhang real family reference you get in the shows is probably in Sansi, Rishan. And in the original book, Rishan isn't in Sansi. Anyway, chronological books. We're supposed to be going through chronological books. Spring Killing, and then Mystic 9, which is unfinished, and then Mystic 9 2, What Happened in Zhangzhou, which is unfinished. And basically, as far as I can tell, it's basically the same time-ish. I think it kind of starts before it and then kind of overlaps with it, is the South Sea Archives. You've got the Flower Reef case, and then you've got the Potluck City, and the Flower Reef case is finished. The Potluck City, I believe, is left unfinished. And then the Map in the Dream, which is a kind of side story, is also unfinished. And then chronological wise, is because the author does what's called New Year specials. And the Potluck City was 2018's New Year special. And then there's one from 2014. It's called Fantasy. Chronological wise, this is about where it would go in. This is the one I was talking about. It's Haiyan and Qiling on an adventure. And I love it because it's those two. And watching them interact is like, my word, I love this. Oh my gosh. And you have to understand the characters. So possibly you don't want to read this one yet because that would be your introduction to Qiling, so it wouldn't have as deep of an impact. I don't know. But either way, chronologically wise, it goes here. Understanding it wise, it's actually told through Wuxie, and the whole circumstances, how it's happening, you will not understand that unless you've read Sansi. So chronological wise versus understanding wise. Understanding wise, you have to read Sansi first, and then you can read Fantasy. Chronologically wise, Fantasy comes about here. It happened way back here. I'm pretty sure it happened before Wuxie was even born. So, there's a bunch of other extras. And then there's the New Year special from 2009 called Old Dog Wu's Funeral. And that's like the first one that Wuxie is in. Old Dog Wu is his grandfather. And then you get into the main meat of the thing. Okay. Explanation for confusing things that I was like, wait, huh? The English translations, which I was used to, there's 6 books. Cavern of the Blood Zombies, Angry Sea Hidden Sands, Bronze Tree of Death, Palace of Doom, Deadly Desert Winds, Graveyard of the Queen. Those are the 6 English titles. Problem is, like, for one thing, I don't know what the Chinese titles are, but in the original Chinese version, maybe I'll show a picture or something so it makes more sense. And like I showed you in the box set, there's 8 original Grave Robber books. And then you have Tibetan Sea Flower Part 1 and 2. All of those ones that I just told you about, those first official 8 books, those ones are all complete. Tibetan Sea Flower is unfinished. And every time I have that expression on my face, I guarantee you these are action stories you're literally left on cliffhangers. I'd still say go and read them, but you're literally left on cliffhangers on all of these. And there's other ones that I'm not mentioning here because they're a little more confusing and a little more me about where they go. And like I say, there's a lot of extras and stuff. I'm trying to keep it to just the like finished and significant ones. So then you actually reach Sansi. And the stupid thing in that one is you've got part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4. Part 1, 2, 3 are one story and part 4 is a different one. And the stupid thing is, for some reason, part 4 comes before 1, 2, and 3. Why did you release it as part 4 when chronologically it comes before 1, 2, 3? I have no idea. Part 4 is Wu Jie and everything he's doing. It's unfinished. And then you get Sansi parts 1, 2, and 3, and that's his name, Li Su. Li Su is the main character of Sansi. All of these are written first-person view of Wu Jie. If he's in it, if he's in the story, it's first-person viewpoint of Wu Jie. After Sansi, then you get the short that's called 10 Years Later, which will mean nothing to you if you don't know anything about the characters, but and then you have the New Year's Special 2017 Blind Tomb. Once again, it's unfinished. And I really wanted to see that one more because Haiyan came back. That one was actually Haiyan meets Wu Jie. I want more, author. Please finish Blind Tomb. And then there's also the New Year's Special 2016. It's called Fishing King. For some reason, I really like that one. That's one of my favorites for some reason. Even though, spoiler, they don't go into the tomb. They see the tomb and they walk away from the tomb, and I'm like, ooh. And then you get into the restart. There is Restart Part 1, Sound of Providence. And there's Restart Part 2, Southeast Asia Adventure. And most likely somewhere in the middle of there's a side story called A Thousand Faces. It's the story that introduces Atto. Wu Jie is not in this one at all. Zhao is briefly in it. The main character in that one is Atto. It's actually, they're two women are the main characters of Thousand Faces. But you kind of want to read that one anyway because Atto herself kind of comes into the stories more after that. But that's her introduction. And it's most likely taking place somewhere in the middle of all of this happening. And then you have the Notes in Rain Village series. There's 1, 2, and 3 of that. I've read 1 and 2. I haven't read 3 yet. 3 is called Traveling Notes. I haven't read that one yet. But in the middle of those happening, there's also a side story called Moving Forward Through the Flowery Night that focuses on Black Glasses and Zhao. Timeline-wise, I'm pretty sure that one happens somewhere in the middle of all of that. And then, after all of that, you get into the post-restart, 1, 2, and 3. You have the New Year's Special 2021, Looking for the Dead in the Sea of Lights, 10,000 Mountains in the Extreme Night, and Queen of the West Ghost Banquet is the one that's currently being released. So those are the main significant stories and books. So then the crossover between the shows and the books, and why it's going to get really confusing no matter what you do,